What's up everybody, David here, and this is another Fantasy Age tutorial. And in this particular tutorial, yes, we are going to take a look at the grenades section in the Fantasy Age basic rulebook. So if you haven't checked out chapter 4 of the equipment section, you'll see that there is a section with grenades. The grenades are unique in Fantasy Age, meaning this: if your DM or GM wants to use the grenades, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. But the cool thing is, you can buy grenades from a vendor, or you can take a talent and craft them on your own for a reduced price. Really awesome. The mechanics to use grenades are really straightforward. It's not too tricky at all, and if you miss, the DM can have a lot of fun with it. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at the grenades section. Now, grenades, like I said, they are going to be optional. Now, if you're going to use a grenade, there's several things that you're going to need to do. You're going to need to prep your grenade, and then you're going to need to get rid of it. So, when you use a grenade, the first thing is going to be treated like a missile weapon. Now, you can see all grenades are missile weapons with a short range of 4 yards and a long range of 8 yards. Grenade attacks are handled as follows. There's some rules here. But now I want to tell you, if you're playing theatrically, Theater of the Mind, 4 to 8 yards, that's not a very long distance. Now, in Fantasy Age, it's translated on a game map, on the table, or on a virtual tabletop into 1 square being 2 yards. So the short range with no negative modifier to throw that grenade is only 2 squares on the game map or virtual tabletop. If you want to do a long throw, a long range throw, you're going to incur a -2 penalty because of it's a long range, and it's going to be 4 squares on the virtual tabletop. And it can be diagonal, horizontal, or vertical. Really cool. So I'm glad that they actually take into consideration longer distances a negative modifier. That's really good. So how do you use these grenades? Well, the first thing you're going to need to do is prepare it. And when you prepare it, you use a minor action. It's called a ready action. And when you use the ready action, you're basically using something like a grenade or, a potion or something like that. So you're going to need to, prepare it with a minor action. The minor action will be the ready action. Not trying to confuse you there, but the minor action is actually called the ready action. Could be confusing, but yeah. So you're still going to have your major action. So if you decide to throw it, you're going to take that ranged attack action. But you can hold on to it too. But if you hold on to it, man, don't let an enemy see you holding on to this grenade that's like fizzing, and you're just kind of waiting to throw it, because something really bad called the kaboom stunt can actually happen to you. And we'll talk about the kaboom stunt in just a second. So really, right off the bat, it's really sounding good, isn't it? So the next thing you're going to want to do is take your target that is within the 8 yards. You can do 4 yards with no penalty, or 8 yards with a -2 penalty. The target does not need to be visible to you, because you can throw over like a desk if you're crouched down below it, or you can throw it and land the grenade to where it's going to kind of go past a corner and nail somebody that's ducked around a corner. You could do something like that. So you can't throw a grenade through something solid. Obviously, you can't throw it through a brick wall or something. But you can throw it as long as you can see where you want to throw it. You don't have to see the target, but as long as you know where you want to throw it, that's the position, that's the area you want to throw it. And it's theatrically, in a general area on a virtual tabletop or game map, it is a square you designate that you can see. Now, once you have the grenade prepared with your minor action, then you can go ahead and take your major action and throw it with the ranged attack. Now, you're not going to be attacking anyone's AC. This is a special DC. And the target number is only an 11. Only an 11. So it's 3d6 plus your dexterity, plus if you have the accuracy focus, you can actually buy the grenades accuracy focus. And the accuracy focus for grenades will give you an additional +2. So if you have a dexterity of 3 and the accuracy focus grenades, then you got a +5. So all you got to do is 3d6 plus 5, and all you have to do is hit that 11 target number. That's it. If you hit that 11 target number, then the grenade lands in the square, or theatrically in the area that you threw it, and it explodes. Now, if the test fails, say if you rolled triple ones, man, or even if you missed it, this grenade is still going to be thrown, but it's going to go 1d6 yards in a direction of the dungeon master or game master's choosing. And then it specifically says right here, have fun with that, GMs, before you explode it. Man, that is going to be really cool. So the blast radius of the grenade is basically 1 square around the square that you choose to throw it. So 2 yards is the blast radius. And friend and foes, meaning all creatures, will be affected and will take the damage or any other effects or any kind of other tests that you're going to need to make from that exploding grenade. Really cool. Mechanics, really, really, really simple. Now, also take into consideration, you can use stunts when you're throwing a grenade. So if you're making your target number 11 success throw, and if you roll doubles, you take those points on the third die, which is the off-colored die, the stunt die, and you'll have that many points to spend. So the example that they give you here is if you generate 4 stunt points, you can hit, and if your grenade's going to hit 2 targets, you can use stunt points on those 2 different targets as long as the grenade affects those 2 targets. Now, for instance, if there's 2 bandits there, your grenade goes off, bam, hits both of them. So they're both going to take the damage. Now, on one of the bandits, you use Pierce Armor. So 2 points are going to go to Pierce Armor, and then 2 stunt points are going to go to knock prone and knock the other bandit over. Because you can't use the same stunt more than once, unless it's skirmish. Then you can use it. So really cool. Grenades also affected by stunts. Really, really, really cool. So I mentioned this stunt called Kaboom. You don't get to do Kaboom, but somebody attacking you, if you use your minor action, and if you pulled that grenade out, and if you're waiting for that ogre to come around the corner, and you hear those heavy footsteps, and you hear him hollering for fresh meat, and you know you're going to throw it next round, well, guess what? Somebody is going to be able to attack you and actually perform a special stunt on you, the Kaboom stunt. Now, the attack can be either ranged or melee. And the stunt itself, the Kaboom stunt, costs 3 stunt points. And this is what the stunt Kaboom does. This means that your attack, meaning the attacker on the person standing there holding that grenade, visibly holding that grenade, your attack detonates a grenade held that is prepared to throw or carried by your target if the grenades are visible. For instance, a mage with bandoliers full of grenades. That I would not do, guys. I would just not do it. Because as a dungeon master or a game master, I'm going to have fun with your grenade bandoliers. From time to time, I would do it. So, if he uses that 3-point stunt, boom, the grenade explodes. And it inflicts the full damage on the target and anyone else within 2 ranges of you, 2 yards of me, basically anyone adjacent to me on a virtual tabletop or really close distance theatrically. Now, that's big, And if multiple grenades are being carried, say in this bandolier, or say you have one in your hand and one already prepped and you were going to prep the one next round, it could be a chain reaction And it's totally up to the dungeon master or the game master to do what they want to do with all of these grenades. So grenades, very fun, but yet very volatile. So be careful with that. Now, a couple other things that has to do with the grenades. The first thing is, don't forget, if you're going to be a big grenades user, you know, sort of like one of my players, you know, Lester, the Saurion, he's big into grenades, so he's taken the grenades focus. It only, you know, it's a accuracy focus, and it gives you +2 to your target number roll. And once you hit 11 or higher, you can use another ability focus improvement, well, an ability focus, and you can actually upgrade it from 2 to 3. Which, if you're using grenades, you better be taking accuracy focus grenades, that's for sure. Now, at the beginning of the tutorial, I mentioned that you can buy these or craft these. And the alchemy talent, this is where you know how to create the grenades using the alchemical formulas needed to make them. So, it also states that the vials are not magic, though some may treat them that way. So if you have the ingredients, you can make a vial in an hour. So maybe the dungeon master or the game master will make you have certain ingredients. Or maybe your game master will just have you pay the cost to make it. It just depends on the game. Myself, I'm going to be making my players, you know, these, you know, electric lizards, I'm going to make them take their glands, or fire lizards, any kind of elemental type of creature, they'll be able to take those glands and make 1d6 different vials per gland. I think that's a fair way, and you know, it actually kind of enhances the alchemy talent that it is. So have the ingredients, you pay the money, and then it only takes 1 hour to make a potion, well, to make a grenade. It doesn't, there's no kind of success rate roll, no type of skill roll, so you just automatically succeed. I think that's great. So there's 3 levels to this talent, like every other talent in the game. And when you're a novice, this is where you know the basics of alchemy, and you can make the blast vials or thunder vials. Simple as that. That's the only ones you can make. There's only 6 total in the game. Journeyman means you're at home in your laboratory. You can make fire vials and ice vials. So there's 4 of the 6 gone. When you're a master alchemy, this is where your alchemical knowledge is vast. And now you get to make the acid and the lightning vials. So, we'll take a look at the grenades now. Pretty straightforward. This is from Chapter 4 in the equipment section. Acid, blast, fire, ice, lightning, and thunder. You can see the damage. 1d6 minimum for thunder, all the way up to 3d6 on multiple grenades. Now, if you're going to buy them from a vendor, you're going to expect to pay the minimum of these buy costs. And it depends on how much, you know, how much silver or gold is flowing in your game. You could actually spend more than what's listed here, depending on supply demand, how large the town is, if you know, if they have a an alchemy shop in the town, whatnot. Here's the make cost. You're going to spend at least this much for supplies, or more, including what you're going to need to have if you're, you know, if your game master, like myself, is going to make you have any kind of glands to make the acid, fire, you know, lightning or ice or whatever. So that's the minimum it's going to cost you. Excuse me. So let's go over each vial, shall we? The acid vial does 3d6 damage. Now, on impact, this grenade sprays acid in all directions. Any target wearing armor must reduce its armor rating by 1 before the damage is calculated, and hits from multiple acid vials can continue to degrade it. So your armor rating can go down and down and down. Now, you can repair the armor, which is going to take a TN 11 strength smithing test, or a dexterity crafting for leather armor. So that is going to be big. you're actually going to ruin the armor of the target that you're hitting with it. I like that. There's blast vials. Blast vials are 2d6. This grenade creates a small explosion, damaging opponents with shards of glass and concussive force. There's nothing else special with it. That's about the only grenade that doesn't have anything extra tagged onto it. Now the fire vial, they're a 3d6 at 18 silver piece cost and 6 silver piece creation cost. And remember, those costs are minimum, guys. The fire vial, on impact, this grenade sprays liquid fire. As with any fire-based attack, the fire vial may ignite flammable items in the area of effect at the GM's option. GMs out there, have some fun, man. They're volatile. Ice vials, they're a 3d6 grenade. Minimum cost, 18 silver pieces. Minimum component cost, 6 silver pieces. And the ice vials is where it creates a haze of frost that hardens to ice on contact. Targets reduce their speed by half for the rest of the encounter that's affected by it. That's pretty big. You know, if you got a 14 speed, you get hit with an ice vial, you're taking the 3d6 damage, and your speed's cut in half. So now instead of 14, you got 7. And it's 3 on a virtual tabletop or a map in front of you. That's pretty big. Lightning vial, 2d6, 24 silver minimum cost from a vendor, and 8 silver pieces to create them for the the components. And the lightning vial, on impact, this grenade creates arcs of lightning in all directions. Damage from a lightning vial is penetrating. Now in Fantasy Age, penetrating means that's pure damage. Armor rating takes nothing away from that. So if you're attacking someone in full plate with a 10 armor rating, you hit them with a lightning vial, they're taking the full 2d6 damage. They're not mitigating any of that from their armor. Penetrating lightning vials, very, very nice. That's why they're very expensive. And they only do 2d6, and they're still really expensive. Last but not least is the 1d6 damage thunder vial, and it costs 9 silver pieces minimum from a vendor, and the components to create it, minimum of 3 silver pieces. And the thunder vial, pretty straightforward. This grenade creates a thunderous boom and great concussive force. This is where any target affected by the blast needs to make a successful target number 13 dexterity acrobatics test or be knocked prone. Boom, you get knocked right over. Piece of cake. Now, I have one last thing that I want to show you about the range. Now I have Gimli here. If Gimli's going to be throwing the grenade, it's 4 yards or 8 yards. Now, as you can see, I have a large beasting Hulk here, Hulk zombie, and 2 squares. And remember, we're thinking theatrically, it's a very short range of 4 yards. Now, when you're playing on the virtual tabletop or on the tiles like this or a game mat, that's going to translate to 2 squares. It's not very far, but you have a 0 penalty. There's no negative modifiers. Now take Sasha, for instance, here. She wants to hit this same zombie, but she's 8 yards away. Now, when you're 8 yards away, which is 4 squares, or theatrically, pretty much double the space as what Gimli was, or the area, then you're going to suffer a -2 penalty to your target number roll. Have fun. GMs, have fun exploding this stuff. Leave a comment down below. Please like the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time.